I hate to start this talk off in a way that is slightly crass, and I apologize for that in advance, but there's really no better way to put this than that you are being screwed. Whether you're Christian, or whether you're Muslim, or whether you're atheist, or whether you're Buddhist, it does not matter. You are being screwed. Whether you know it or not, you are being screwed. Whether you are a Republican or a Democrat or third party, you are being screwed. Now, how can I say that right now when we are clearly living in one of the greatest times on earth to be alive? If you go back just 100 years, there were 50 million people that died from the Spanish flu. Women didn't have the vote in the US 100 years ago. They had separate drinking fountains for blacks and whites. Over the course of the last 100 years, we've seen an eradication of smallpox through global vaccination efforts. We've seen things like this. This right here is affordable to almost everyone, and it is a supercomputer that is exponentially more powerful than the computers that landed man on the moon. That is progress right there. We used to have horses and carriages, and now we have interconnected, multi-continental, transatlantic, trans-Pacific, airlines. We have ride-sharing networks. We have self-driving cars. So how can I possibly look at everything that has happened and everything that has occurred and say that we're screwed? Am I playing the victim card? Am I completely ignoring history? Or maybe I'm acknowledging the fact that we didn't get here by resorting to superstition. We didn't make all of this progress through religious dogma. When you look at Alexander Fleming coming up with penicillin, he didn't do it by staring at tarot cards. When Alan Turing, the great gay atheist, laid the groundwork for modern computing, he didn't do it by staring up into the sky and looking through, astrology records or the Akashic records and try to, somehow consult things and align his chakras and meditate real hard. No, he did it using science. He did it by learning, by studying, by testing, by trying, and by throwing out what didn't work. When Steve Wozniak created the first Apple computer and Bill Gates wrote the first iteration of Microsoft, they didn't do it by consulting the Bible. They didn't do it by consulting the Quran, nor did Tim Berners-Lee when he laid the foundation for the internet. What do all of these people have in common? With the exception of Alexander Fleming, all of them are non-religious. Now, you don't have to be non-religious to make progress, and many people who made progress were religious, but they made the progress in spite of religion, in the teeth of religious opposition in many cases. I don't have to go back to Galileo in order to show cases where religion has shoved its boot on the head of scientific progress. Just 8 years ago, well, a little more than 8 years ago, but there was an 8-year delay that caused stem cell research to be blocked. This goes out to the dying, to the people who are in a race against time, those with genetic illnesses that stem cell research could have provided a cure for. But it was blocked by a political agenda, by a religious overreach into the realm of science, all because of dogmatic madness that presumed that a clump of cells left over from IVF was a soul in a petri dish. This goes out to the people who are fighting against climate change, who are trying to save this one planet that we have, in face of religious opposition that assumes that we have dominion over this planet, and that could never possibly happen. We could never possibly screw up this one planet. So meanwhile, we're cutting and slashing scientific funding left and right that's not only our one shot at possibly pushing back and rolling back the tide of climate change before it hits a positive feedback loop, before it leads to a point of no return, but we're also slashing the funding that could have allowed us by now to have terraformed a backup planet. And instead, we're sitting around here, waiting for the end times, fapping it to the apocalypse, hoping that Jesus is going to return. This goes out to the children, the victims of faith-healing homicide, who are denied blood transfusions because their parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, who are told because their parents are Christian scientists that they can't go in and get medical treatment because it goes against their religion. And then, to make matters worse, to add insult to injury, you have political institutions that look the other way and allow for it. That look the other way when an institution as big as the Catholic Church systematically covers up the raping of children. We are being screwed. This goes out to all of the trans patriots fighting for your freedom who are now denied the right to serve. This goes out to all of my LGBTQ family who have been denigrated and treated like filth simply for wanting to have a life with the people that they love. For being denied the right to adopt children. How hard is it to realize that it's better to have 2 loving parents than none, regardless of their sexual orientation? And this goes out to my atheist family, who have been denigrated for so long by pastors and family members who are preaching love. Well, if that's love, why don't they go love themselves? You're being screwed, but you don't have to be. There's something you can do about it. Right now, we're being screwed and apathy is digging our grave. All it takes is a tiny bit of resolve to stare this in the face and say, not today. To stand up, to take a stand for reason and for science and for progress, and to say, not on my watch.